Hey guys, welcome back to the Cellar. So today we're going to be doing a part 2 of my favorite remakes. Last video we did 5, today we're going to be doing 5 more. Remakes that either I like just as much or maybe a little bit more than its original. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll be right back. So the first on my list is Fright Night. Yeah, I love the original Fright Night from 1985, directed by Tom Holland. No relation to our Tom Holland's now, Spider-Man, but I really do love the remake, which was released in 2011. Now this one's starring Colin Farrell. So I saw the original film first. I fell in love with it, of course. What's not to love? There's a character in the movie called Peter Vincent. Now, his name is a mixture of Peter Cushing and Vincent Price, who are two, famous people from horror movies. We all know Vincent Price. But yeah, so I saw the original film. I fell in love with it. But I saw the remake and I felt like it was pretty good. It was, of course there's some things in it where maybe, I don't want to say cheesy, a little cheesy, but I feel like there's a little cheesiness in the original as well. I think it was well done. Colin Farrell is freaking he's nice to look at, and we love him in his movies, but he was creepy. He was creepy in this one. I was a little afraid. That one scene where they figure out that he is a vampire and he's trying to get into the house. He's with his girlfriend and his mom, and he's legit trying to burn the house down. Yeah, that scene was terrifying. He was going to, if he can't get in the house, there's going to be no house. Him just in this role, where it was just pretty damn scary. So what I didn't know is in early stages of filming, Heath Ledger was actually being considered for the role of Jerry. Unfortunately, we lost him in 2008. Rest in peace to Heath Ledger. So Colin Farrell, was casted as Jerry, but I think he does a really great job. I just think the casting across the board was pretty good. The acting wasn't bad in my opinion. We even get McLovin thrown in there, and we have him as a vampire, which is pretty freaking cool. So I was reading that Tom Holland, who is the director and the writer of the original film, disliked the remake. He does not agree with me. He did not like the remake at all and was not a fan. Of course, we're all entitled to our own opinion. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good time. Just like the first one was a good time. Of course, the original is the original's the original. You're taking another idea and you're kind of making it your own. So that's understandable that he didn't like the remake, because it was, obviously some different aspects thrown in there, but I liked it. I thought it was a good remake. I don't know. So the next movie on my list is 13 Ghosts. Love 13 Ghosts. The original was released in 1960. It was directed by William Castle. The remake was 2001. It's starring Matthew Lillard, Shannon Elizabeth. Okay, so I do love the original, obviously, but the remake, to me, I just have so much fun with it. Yeah, I know there's parts of it that, the acting's a little cringy at times, so a lot of times, but it's fun. It's gory, it's bloody, it's just, seeing the monsters were super cool. A similarity, one of the very few similarities between the original and the remake is the glasses. Those glasses that they put on and they could see the ghosts. That is something, a similarity between two films that I just thought were cool. Besides that, there's not too many. But yeah, I love the remake. It's one of those movies that are just, I can watch constantly. It's a lot of fun. I love the actors in it. Obviously, I'm a fan of Matthew Lillard. I just love him overall and pretty much anything he does. We have, I don't know his name, it's really bad, but the actor from Monk, remember the show Monk? He's the father in it. We have Shannon Elizabeth, from American Pie and everything. I really liked the casting. Again, it was a little cheesy at times, and the acting is not the best thing ever, but it's gory, it's fun. A guy gets freaking split in half. You remember that scene with the lawyer and he, like, the glass comes and splits him in half? That's pretty cool. Or that scene where she's like over the tub and she's like playing with the water, which was weird. I just didn't get that. But then you see like the creepy like naked lady in the tub. Like kind of had like Shining like vibes to it when you see that naked old lady in the tub. Yeah, she's in there and you're just like, don't go too close to that tub. There's like a naked dead lady in there. Proceed with caution. But yeah, this movie I just love it. You know, I'm not saying it's better than the original, but even though they do have the same name and they have the same story behind it, they're just really different in my opinion. So I love it. You know, I'm going to say it's just as good. I'm not going to say it's better, but I'm going, because I love William Castle, but I'm going to say it's just as good, and that's why it's on my list. So next on my list is The Ring. Yeah, I love The Ring. All right. So the original was released in 1998. It was a Japanese film, which is based off a novel from 91 with the same name. And the remake, the English version, was released in 2002. Okay, so I have a lot to say about this film. Now, when I saw the remake before I saw the original. And I remember being in the theater and watching it. And there was some jump scares. Like it did its job. I was horrified. Like when you first saw the girl's face and it was like all like demented and I want to block that out of my head. But like the first time you see her face, it was pretty horrifying. Like I just remember jumping out of my seat almost, because, you know, of course you have like that boom and then you see the face and it's like, you know, and then seeing her like coming out of the well and just like, you know, like it's creepy. It is creepy. I did not want to sleep with a television in my bedroom for a while after that. It kicked my butt, this film. I love it. I just love it. You know, the original is the original and it's an amazing film, but there's something about the remake to me that is just, I don't know. It doesn't compare to many horror movies at that time. It's just such a great film. So The Ring was one of the highest grossing remakes of all time. It was actually the highest grossing remakes of all time until Stephen King's It was remade. It was followed up by 2 sequels and a short film. So did you know that Jennifer Love Hewitt was actually offered the role of Rachel? She didn't want to be known as a scream queen, which is like, in my opinion, what's better than being a scream queen? But the role was given to Naomi Watts. I don't know if that was a good idea. I just think this was a really great role, a really great movie. I don't know if I would have passed it up. If you haven't seen this, I definitely recommend it. I did really love the sequel. The third film, maybe not as much as the other 2, but it was a good film. So the next on my list is The Hitcher, which the tagline is never pick up strangers. You shouldn't. The original was released in 1986 and the remake was 2007. Now, I love the original film. Now, I can't say the remake was better. I refuse to say the remake was better, but it was good. It was good. It was a lot of similarities and a little twist at the end that was different from the original, which I appreciated. Now, I remember the first time I saw The Hitcher, and John Ryder is a character that his face will be seared into my brain for the rest of my life. There's something so horrifying about him. There's something so horrifying about being like on a road trip and picking up a man that you feel like is trustworthy and safe, which is like, don't pick up strangers, guys, don't. And he is just insane. He is a sociopath, and this man is a sociopath. There's parts and aspects of this movie that are just like, now Sean Bean was casted as John Ryder in the remake, and I think it was great casting. Like, I really do. There's something so terrifying about him. You know, like, I'm familiar with him from Fellowship of the Rings. So, you know, I think of Lord of the Rings immediately. But like the second movie that comes to mind when I think of him is The Hitcher remake. Like, he's pretty creepy. Now, a similarity between both films, a scene that I don't really like, is when you see John Ryder with the family. You see him in the back of the station wagon. Everything's good. And of course, Jim is trying to warn them, like, this guy's a psychopath. Like, get him out of your car. The family speeds off, or he gets run off the road. It's been a while since I saw both of them. But then you find out, like, a little bit into the movie that the entire family is dead. Like, he literally killed the entire family. That to me is so haunting. It is so scary. It is just... it feels like somebody is punching you in the gut when you think of that. Like, how horrifying. So it's funny that Jessica Biel actually turned down the role for Grace, and then Britney Spears was considered for this role. I don't know if it would have been the same movie with Britney Spears. I can see Jessica Biel 100%. I could see her in this role, because the whole time you're thinking that, like, he's the leading man, and she's the one who's gonna get ripped apart by the trucks. No, she's the one who's going to witness her boyfriend getting ripped in half by the truck. That's another scene in this film that is crazy. I remember watching the original for the first time, and when he comes outside and he sees that the waitress, I don't want to even call her his girlfriend because she's not, but when he sees her tied between the two trucks and then she gets ripped in half. Oh, I didn't know if they were going to do that in the remake. I went in thinking, like, maybe they wouldn't, because that's very aggressive. And they did. But they didn't do it to Sophia Bush, which I thought was pretty freaking cool. They did it to him. Like, that was cool. I did not expect it. But I don't know if I could see, like, I don't think it would be the same movie at all if Britney Spears was Grace instead of Sophia Bush. I don't think so, right? No. So what I thought was really cool was Sean Bean. While on set, he spent as little time as possible with his younger co-stars. He thought it would be more of a realistic feel, more menacing if, they didn't really know him as a person, he would come off more creepy, right? And I think he did a really good job, and I think that was really smart of him. So I'm not saying in this case that the remake was better than the original. I don't think that, but I definitely think it holds its own on. It gives us a little different spin on the original that we love so much. Next on my list is Amityville Horror. The original was released in 1979, remake 2015, starring Ryan Reynolds as George Lutz. Amityville Horror is just one of those movies that I just have loved my whole life. Being from New York, the Amityville house isn't too far from me, and it doesn't actually look anything like it used to anymore. I understand why they would change it, having people drive up and down your block thinking your house is haunted all the time. It's just, I'm sure it's pretty irritating. But of course I love the original film. It's one of those films that is just like sticks with you for your entire life, and there's scenes in it that's just so haunting, and it's so disturbing to think of this one guy living this, and it's a true story, and just killing his whole family one by one, and then seeing the house possessed him. Like, do you believe it? Do you not? It's such a tragedy. It's such a horrible situation. But like, as somebody who really loves horror movies, who kind of believes in some of that stuff, it makes you really think. Now a family moves in this house and they're just being haunted nonstop, and then the father is being possessed and kind of like brainwashed by this evil home to like do the same thing to his family. So the original and the remake are really close, in my opinion. Of course, there were scenes in the remake that we didn't have in the original. It gets a little darker at times. It's a little more bloody, a little bit more, disturbing. But both were really disturbing. It was just like different ways of trying to get to us. I thought it was really cool. Ryan Reynolds, he wanted to spend as little time as possible with the children. He didn't want to fall in love with them. And when the scenes where he's being kind of like verbally and maybe a little physically abusive to them, he wanted to kind of go into this role and kill it, no pun intended. So that kind of makes sense that he would not want to get attached to them, because if I know it's probably hard already to to be so aggressive to children, but then children that you're connected to and you have like a relationship with, it's kind of like, you know, definitely, I think it was a good idea to stay away. There's actually times on the set that little kids went to like production, like, does Ryan hate me? Like, why isn't he not talking to me? You know, which you can understand. You have this man here ignoring you, and you're a child, you're not understanding why he's ignoring you. I thought that was pretty interesting, and it was like the same as the Hitcher remake, you know, when Sean Bean stayed away from his younger co-stars. It makes complete sense. You have to get in this headspace where you're kind of like, you know, kind of like a psychopath, you know, doing these crazy things, seeing these crazy images, and you have to be really dark. So it makes sense that you would want to stay away from them so you can be in character. So Chloe Grace Moretz stars in this film as well. She's a cute little girl. She's 8 years old at the time. This is her actual debut cinematic performance. We love Chloe. She did her own stunts in the film. I thought that was pretty impressive to be 8, your first movie, and you're doing your own stunts. That's pretty cool. So just like the original film, the names of the Lutz children were changed in this one as well to protect their identity. So in the remake, there's a scene with the babysitter. There's some like crazy stuff that goes on there. I don't know if I can't remember if that was in the original film. I want to say it wasn't, but it's been a while since I've seen that one. But Megan Fox actually auditioned for that role. I guess they didn't like her in that part, but I could see her in that part. They were very similar looking. I don't know why they wouldn't have casted her, but yeah, she didn't get it. And another crazy thing, James Vanderbeek, Dawson's Creek, Dawson. He turned down this role. That's interesting. I don't understand why you would, but I'm kind of glad he did because I can't see him as George Lutz. I just can't. Ryan Reynolds kills this role, and he's one of the reasons why it was just such a great remake. Now, I'm not saying it's better than the original, but it's pretty damn good. It's pretty damn close. It's very similar, and to me, it's a little darker than the original, which is like, this film alone is just very dark, but some of the scenes are like bloody and gory in the remake, and I appreciated that. So yeah, I'm not saying it's better, but I think they're neck and neck. They're pretty close in my opinion, and that's why it's on my list. All right, those are my 5. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. As always, make sure you hit that like button if you haven't earlier. If you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed and follow me on social media, and I'll be right back.